So welcome, fellow blabbers. Um, my name is Christian Karasevich. My Twitter handle is at CKROKS, or you can also tweet me at Social Chefs, which is the brand that I use. This is the Social Chatter episode. We also have a hashtag Social Chatter. I'm joined today by my buddy, Mr. John Daly here, actually. It's actually Vincent Orlek. Vincent, you want to give everybody a hello and tell them where they can follow you at?
Yeah. What's up, everybody? Happy almost Halloween. That explains this. This is not my real hair. You can follow me pretty much everywhere. If you look up my name, Vincent Orlek. Same thing on Twitter is at Vincent Orlek. Feel free to engage with me on Twitter. And I was actually just taking advantage, Christian, of this new Facebook feature. I think it's literally new today. I saw it for the first time this morning, so I'm going to share it on my page right now. Boom, post to Facebook. And Patricia thought it was my real hair.
I got to say, it looks really very convincing. So sorry, I'm actually I'm captivated by I'm actually going to send out a tweet tagging John Daly to see if that would actually be really funny if he jumped on.
Yeah, he's on Twitter. Let's see if I can pull something up here.
Yeah, it's PJ_John Daly. So I'm actually tweeting that out right now. That would actually be really funny. So very cool. So welcome, Patricia. Welcome, Vincent. Who else do we have on today? We've got Jenny Stiven. Welcome to this episode of Social Chatter. Basically, our aim is to bring you the latest in social media marketing from this past week. And what we like to do is we like to share with you between 3 and 5 topics, talk about some of those, and then quickly share a couple of tools at the end with you to really help, that we think can really up your marketing game. These might be apps, they might be social tools, they might be, blogging tools, pretty much any tool that you can use as a business owner to help you up your marketing game. Because, social, it's a tool, but, you also have to incorporate all the other pieces, like having a blog, incorporating that into it, incorporating, as Vincent's doing here, Blab. So with that, I want to start off by talking about today's topics. So do you happen to have those pulled up, Vincent? Here we go. Okay.
Yeah. You want to start with the Twitter stuff or some of the other stuff?
So the first item, I don't know if you want to drop those into the chat window there for everybody, but basically Twitter is launching, everybody knows Twitter is obviously, they've had some growth challenges. They've not been growing at the fast pace that, people are kind of expecting them to do for, a company that's, been around for a number of years. So they've been really expanding a lot of tools. I think, was it last week or the week before, they came out with Moments, which was a tool that was actually really cool because it really works well with like the World Series and things like that. But it was a tool that allowed us to find basically almost to curate what all is going on around an event. It was really cool. You could pull up an event on Twitter, whatever was being talked about, and you could actually swipe through and look at pictures and look at short videos and things like that people were posting around that topic. So it was really awesome. So now they're actually expanding, and they're expanding their analytics product. It's actually pretty cool. They're calling it the Twitter Brand Hub. And basically, their goal with this is it's a new product for tracking and sharing your conversation across advertising channels. So there's you basically go to brandhub.twitter.com. There you're going to be able to sign up and whatnot. But it's basically to help you understand more about your brand and how to successfully promote it on Twitter. Because you have to remember, with social, what you do on one channel does not always work on the other channels. So that's topic number 1 for today. I'm going to drop this other link in here as well for Brand Hub, so everybody can get. Have you actually given this a try yet? Do you guys do any advertising with your, with the company you work for?
No, because the company I manage the brand of is where they put us in like the supplement / prescription drug or pharmaceutical category, and we're not allowed to advertise on Twitter.
And you probably run into the same thing with Facebook, probably, right?
No, Facebook ads. We've run plenty of Facebook ads. You know, in everything being equal, I don't know that it's really a huge deal because Twitter ads, I don't know that they would really do a whole lot for us. I'm not super thrilled with Twitter ads lately anyway. I'd rather use Facebook ads in general. But you know, this is definitely interesting. I mean, when you sent it over, I started taking a look at it. It's interesting because I don't know about you, Christian, but to me, it looked like a play towards kind of like taking some of the reins from some companies, some third party platforms that do this type of analytics, that have this expanded demographic analytics, that type of thing. And I mean, I don't know that they're specifically going after them to try to, you know, run them out of business or anything, and not that would happen, but certainly a lot of the information that it looks like it's going to provide is the type of thing that you can get. You can get a lot of it for either free or on a freemium model already. But obviously, if it's native, if Twitter's doing it natively, that's going to be easier, I would think, and better. What do you think?
I'm actually really, the part that I'm really most interested in on all of that is how Twitter is going to, you know, are they going to start to take over some of these other companies that are out there that are trying to do some of these, you know, things that they should really kind of be doing?
Yeah.
I'm waiting for that, not just to happen for Twitter, but for Facebook. I mean, I think that those are there's a lot of untapped potential there. I mean, you know, you control your own API, you control what people can access it, you know, how they can access it, you control what they can do with it. And it's one of those things that, you know, I think at some point, I mean, you're going to have that happen because, you know, like we talk about a lot of social media tools, and a lot of people start using like one, and then they're like, well, this one, I want something that does this, this, and this. And they end up buying like 5 tools or something like that to accomplish, you know, a task. And it's not very efficient. And I think at the same time, I mean, it would, if the larger, you know, if Twitter, for instance, would listen to that and say, okay, well, hey, we're getting people asking about all of this stuff. Let's come out with, you know, something that will, you know, help meet that need. So, by the way, we do have a question here from Jenny Stiven over here in the comments. She was unclear how Twitter expected small businesses to use it. Do you have any advice for her?
I mean, first of all, it's not available to everybody yet.
Right.
So unfortunately, I don't expect the small businesses to use it quite yet. Who knows when it'll be out for everybody? I don't have access to it yet myself. Christian, do you? Have you been able to?
I don't have access to it either. I just get redirected to their, you know, to their information page. So. Yeah,
it's pretty much if you're a big enough company, or you have like an account manager with Twitter,
right?
You'll be able to get it. It looks like. I mean, this is pretty typical. I'm a little surprised, to be honest, that that they're doing it that way.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I would think that they're past like the pilot program part, right? Where they probably already made it available to several brands of different sizes before this announcement. But I don't know. I for this type of thing, I don't know what the need would be for a rollout like that.
Right.
Unless it's a technical thing. I don't know. But I can see a lot of businesses using it. To answer a question, I mean, certainly if I'm a small business and I'm my audience and I'm involved with Twitter, I'm active and engaged and my audience is there, being able to see the expanded analytics about demographics and impressions, and deeper dive than just what comes up on the little statistical analytics on a tweet itself. It's powerful. It could definitely help me design campaigns and figure out exactly what I want to tweet about, what tweets work best. We kind of have an idea, right, already, like videos and pictures, if you can do that, are generally going to be the best, but you never know. I mean, you never know what's working best for you or your brand.
So this is what it actually reminds me of. So this whole feature reminds me of how Facebook has rolled out, you know, they rolled out the live mentions feature, and they rolled it out to major, like, and again, we're talking about advertising versus tools. But when people came out with that when they came out with that tool, it was only available to, in that case, verified profiles, verified accounts. And I kind of, and here's the thing, everybody, when that came out, everybody questioned it. They said, well, why is this not available to everybody? It's a really great feature. And part of it was, I think, to get adoption and to get people used to, using it, like to get, some major backing behind it. Yep. And I think that I'm wondering, is Twitter stealing a playbook out of a page out of Facebook's playbook, which is, let's launch this to, large and medium-sized businesses. By the way, that's what they mentioned on the site. Let's launch it with them. Let's get some success behind that.
Right.
And then, we can use them as case studies. We can use them for whatever we want. And then let's come out with something for maybe a small business. I think the biggest thing is you don't want to roll it out to a small business because most small businesses aren't doing social right. Most of them are like, they're overwhelmed with what they're doing. They're everywhere in the wrong sense. They're everywhere because they are trying to do everything and be everywhere. And what they need to do is they need to focus on getting the basics of what their business is about and get some leverage, like build on one channel and then move into another one and to another and another. And now they're just, let me be everywhere. Let me put my content everywhere, the same kind of content everywhere, get the foundation set, and then you can start to use some of those tools. So,
yep. Yeah.
Yep. And absolutely. You're right. Jenny, as far as how Instagram did things as well, same thing. Again, Instagram, Facebook company, kind of expect most of it to work virtually the same way. So,
and just to address Jenny's last point there about, small business, I don't expect it'll be too long before it'll be available to pretty much everybody. Certainly by the end of the year, I would think it'll be available to everybody because of the small businesses are that's who they want to use it. I mean, that's sure it's good for brands, the bigger brands, but if the small businesses can get educated on how to use things like that, it's even more important for them.
Yeah, and I think the key thing is, you want those major brands to use things first, so that then the other company, then once a small business comes in, it'll be easy for them to, they'll work out the kinks. They'll make it super easy for people. So topic number 2, I'm going to move on to topic number 2, unless anybody has any other questions. Next thing is a more useful notifications tab on Facebook mobile. So obviously, we know Facebook's more Facebook news, really good news though. So basically what they've done is they come out with updates to your notifications panel on mobile. The benefit here is that they're going to start to put more things in there rather than just, updates and things like that. You're going to be able to see, for instance, birthdays, if you have certain life events, you've got sports scores for teams you follow. That's going to be really awesome. And that's going to be based off of pages you've liked. So the more you engage with pages, the more they'll pull in the right information for you. Upcoming events. They're probably also going to try to use your location to determine some things such as, movies that might be in your area, different places to eat, all that kind of stuff. So basically, I personally like the idea of this because I think that Facebook is moving into, what they said they wanted to basically become a newspaper, So I love the idea of that. What about you?
Yeah, I'm surprised it's taken them this long because once I saw it, it seems like they would have come out with this a while ago, to be honest. The way the notifications have been are pretty straightforward and plain and blah. And what this is going to do is it's like true notifications specific to what the notification is about. And that's just going to drive more engagement. It's going to allow you as a user to use it more easily. Better UX, which is what they're always trying to do. They're always trying to go for that, Facebook. But yeah, I know if on my notification screen, I'm able to just scroll and it's already sorted for me what the things are, what those comments are based on. And, it maybe separates it out a little bit right now where it'll tell you this many people have birthdays today or something like that. Mm-hmm. It's not anything like what this is purportedly going to be.
Right.
I don't have it yet, but just from looking at the video on the link there, it looks great. I think it looks great.
And I think it's one of those things. I think it's that slow and steady wins the race type thing. I think it's, everybody's always wondering, well, what's Facebook doing? Why haven't they rolled this out yet? And I think it's because they are biding their time with things. You know, they're coming out with features that are, what's the word? They're coming out with all these features. Oops. They're coming out with all these features that I think people are like, they've been clamoring for, and now they're able to do them right, as opposed to like, let me just come out with things. Kind of like, you know, that whole Apple model. Like if you look at how Apple does things, you know, there's so many different directions they can take their products. They don't have a lot of products they come out with, but they do right. I think Facebook's starting to kind of really adopt some of that model. So,
but again, they're leading the way too. I mean, because the other, they're going to be the first one that has a notification page that looks this way. You know, Twitter's is probably the closest to what this looks like, but it's not like that. It looks better, you know, actually graphically it just looks better, but it doesn't have the same type of separated information out in the way that Facebook looks like it's going to have. So that's, I love it. I just looking at, I can't wait to get it because it's going to make my life easier. I know that, be able to sort through things that much quicker and you know, whether it's personal or business related, it's still going to make things a lot easier.
Yeah, no, definitely. By the way, Jenny, do you have any thoughts, anything you want to add to this? I mean, if you want to jump on a seat, you're welcome to. You know, what do you think about the new notifications that Facebook's got coming out?
Hey, Jason, what's going on? Thanks for jumping in, buddy.
It's funny listening to you say that. Do what? Okay, no worries. So she's on a mobile connection, so connections aren't exactly moving the best. Another new feature. So I'm going to move on to topic 3, by the way, if we don't have any other questions on that one. Topic number 3. This one's actually pretty neat. This is Facebook message requests. And this is very neat because this actually ties into something that I posted about earlier today over in the Social Chefs Facebook group that I run. And I talked about Facebook has a, let me find it actually. Sorry, actually on the Facebook page, not the group. So the new feature is, it's out with the old and with the new actually. So Facebook is actually getting rid of, remember how in messages you had that other box where like you could click into messages and you could see like all the spam basically that was there. So what Facebook has done is they are getting rid of the other inbox. Okay. So obviously the reason why, you know, people really weren't using it, that sort of stuff, right? So here's a little bit about the other inbox. Okay, I'm gonna put that in the chat window. Okay, so Facebook's getting rid of this, but at the same time, they're announcing this new feature for messages, which I think is really cool because it's going to allow you to connect with people. It actually sounds to me like they took the feature in messages and moved them into Messenger, basically, but they're going to give you an option there where you can message anyone on Facebook. It's just going to go to a separate section, which I'm fascinated with because, you know, like I said, it looks like it's just moving it from one place to the other, but I think it's going to be a really cool, really nice update actually, because it's going to help, I think, break down some of those barriers behind, you know, well, hey, I sent somebody a friend request. I sent them a message. I didn't know if they got it, you know? So have you had a chance to check this out yet?
I mean, not other than the article or, I haven't seen it yet. I haven't seen an update for, actually the Messenger update. I did just get that, but I haven't had a chance to jump in it. But having that other separate inbox, I mean, I can tell you over the last year, I've probably been in the other inbox twice because I happened to remember that it existed. And there was like 50 messages from, you know, ranging from 6 months ago to a month ago. And I felt bad because people messaged me that I hadn't quite yet accepted their friend request, but they sent me a message. It was so full of oddness. Yeah, for sure. I had a mix. I had kind of the oddness, and I also had people that I eventually added as friends, but they sent me a message first, and it went to there. So it was just sitting there, and there was a question in there or something. So it wasn't super helpful. This is where it's been going with Facebook as far as the new Messenger. This goes back a couple of years to when they first made you have to use the app to use Messenger, and enables you to be able to make phone calls through Messenger, which are awesome, by the way.
Mm-hmm. I think you and I did that the other day, didn't we?
What's that?
I think you and I actually were on a phone call.
Yeah. I mean, it's great, and it's so funny whenever you find someone, whenever you talk to someone, it's their first time using that, they're like, "Oh my God, this sounds great," you know. And it's funny because it sounds like, which makes sense if you have an iPhone, and since the last, I think, update with the Wi-Fi calling, if you do Wi-Fi calling with someone else, the sound quality, you can tell the difference. It's like a digital clear sound quality as opposed to like phone quality. And that's the Facebook Messenger phone quality is really good. But that's part of it too. And then the other thing was, you know, how long has it been that if you've been using Messenger for a couple of years, every now and again, you still get the person that you're messaging them and they don't have the app, and it gives you the little blue box to invite that person to use the app. Which I always click and try to get them to use it, to use the Messenger app. But people are still scared of it. You know, not as much as they used to be when Facebook first came out with their revised terms of service, and it freaked everybody out. Sorry, not terms of service, but like the privacy policy.
Yeah.
With Messenger, there was probably about a year and a half ago. Totally freaked everybody. Everybody went nuts. They're like, "Oh my God, they're gonna take over my phone. They're gonna they're gonna look in. They're gonna use my camera on my phone to watch me and track me and all this stuff." And that's not what the TOS and the privacy policy was saying at all. Yeah. It's just it got reported that way, even by the media. You know, the media. I can't tell you how annoyed I was. Even on places like CNN, they had experts come on and talk about that at the time, and they were talking about how Facebook will be able to do this and this now if you install that Messenger app. And it's like, what are you even talking about?
Yeah, that's the biggest problem. Everybody's setting the wrong expectations. I mean, it's not just for like, you know, Facebook announcements. By the way, if you want to bring Jose in, you know, it's not just about Facebook announcements, but it's also like it's happening like with, you know, new iPhone comes out, new Apple Watch comes out. Like everybody just speculates on what it can do. And then the news picks it up, and then it's misinformation getting spread around, you know. So if something like that happens, if it's new stuff coming out, I mean, really, you kind of just have to, you know, put it through its paces, test it out, see what it can actually do if it's already out, you know. And I mean, you know that the more you talk about something, the more it's going to make it an issue. So, you know, just be wary about what you mentioned. So I'm going to bring Jose in here for a couple seconds here.
All right.
Good afternoon, Jose. How are you?
Good. I'm doing good.
Hey, what's going on, Jose?
Not much. I just wanted to pop in. I'm kind of excited about the getting rid of the other folder. I'm a recruiter, and although I don't use Facebook for a whole lot of direct recruiting, when I do, it is frustrating to inbox somebody and never hear anything from them. I know it happens on other platforms too, but to get rid of that other box, I think it'll increase the likelihood of hearing something, or at least knowing they got what you sent them.
It'd be nice if there was like a notification or something that could pop up that would tell you at least that you had something, you know, and that, I mean, like if, for instance, like if it's email, if somebody happens to get your email, I mean, you're going to get an email from that person. I mean, could we make Messenger just like that where, you know, somebody gets a message, it pops up something and, hey, you know what, they'll get to it when they get to it, but give them the opportunity, you know?
Yeah, that'd be great. Almost like a text message where you have the red message for those who still have that notification on. That'd be great to have that in Messenger.
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, no, we're excited about it. I mean, I think that's gonna be a really great feature. I mean, and it's weird. I like that they're getting rid of the other inbox. I like that they're also porting it over into Messenger, which is going to be really cool. And I liked some of the examples they gave. I mean, for example, if somebody lost a wallet or a purse or whatever, you know, you can easily message somebody instead of like, you know, oh, hey, I can't send them a text message because, hey, their phone is, you know, in their bag or whatever, you know, or can't call them because their phone's here. Like, you know, I think it's really, I think it's gonna be a good thing. So I like the direction that Facebook's heading with all of this.
Yeah, it's smart.
I think it's where are we here in H2 of 2015 at this point, right? It's pretty clear that Facebook targeted H2 of 2016 to be like, okay, everything we've been talking about, we're putting out now.
Yeah.
All these updates, all these things, like here we go. So we still have 2 months more to go, 2 full months. So who knows what they got left planned?
It's really funny because you remember how when Facebook came out with like the redesign and whatnot, and it was like you could get on a list and you could, it was a list to be like almost like a, hey, let me get access to this on my profile. And like it kind of, everybody was talking about it. And then now nobody talks about that kind of stuff. They're like, oh, great, new feature. Like,
Unless it's something big. It has to be something like the Messenger. When they did that, that was a big deal. I'm trying to think this year. I think it's because they've come out with so many different things and updates. We've kind of gotten jaded to it. I'm trying to think if there's been the one thing of all these things that have come out that people have really started like latched onto and talked about.
Nothing. The 360 video, maybe. I mean, that might be one thing.
Yeah, I mean, maybe mentions the live video, not mentions, but the live video ability of some, because everybody was complaining because there was only certain people that had it, and but the fact that you could do live video on Facebook now, that was probably the biggest thing like that people were talking about among all these other changes and updates and new features and things.
What do you think, Jose? Do you have any thoughts on that?
I would have to agree with that. I think, they've had a lot come through, especially recently. I mean, they're just pounding the market with everything they have, it seems like. But I would say that feature would be, the most noted one, the one that most people are excited to have access to.
Mm-hmm.
Until now, at least. We'll see. 60 days left.
Yeah, we still have a little time. You never know what they're going to come out with.
Yeah.
I would, I got to say, I would love to see a feature somewhere inside of Facebook, not just going to like a blog or reading Facebook news or whatnot, but having a place that you can go to like see, like, have like a change log option somewhere in the site where people can, like say they click, like the notifications panel or something, and just have it be like, hey, these are the features that we've come out recently with, or something, instead of having people have to like, search the web for all that stuff, or, let me go back through Facebook's archive, like, I mean, just, if they do one or two, a couple a month, like here's the new stuff, like the major things,
right.
Instead of like, just, hey, we changed the code for this, we removed this, like just talk about like some of the features. Cause I think that would really help people, I think, really adopt it a lot more in their Facebook marketing. So, I mean, that's, I was on a call with a couple of people today, and, that was something that came up of like, well, hey, I didn't know about that feature. And it's like, well, it's been out for a number of months. Like, so it's,
well, it's like the notes, right? Facebook notes.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a little surprised at even the amount of marketers that don't. I mean, not that they don't know. I think a lot of people know, but people aren't really, at least from what I've seen, people aren't really using it. So I don't know. I think kind of like what we talked about before, Christian, about how if to make it valuable, if they made it so that, like they do right now with native video on Facebook, as opposed to uploading a YouTube link, the native video gets preferential treatment. If they made it so that instead of uploading a link to Medium or a website or something, you posted on your Facebook Notes blog, and that got crazy traffic, then I think people would use it. But I posted like within a few days after they launched it, I posted something on there to test it out. And it was okay. I don't know that a lot of people even saw it though. It's sitting on my page.
That is a very interesting point you bring up, by the way. I like the idea of showing people more things that they post natively on Facebook. It does scare me a little bit though, to think that they would actually consider that probably. I think you probably haven't seen a lot of people talk about it because I think it stems from the fact that, if like you've got marketers talking about it, there's going to be they want people to go back to their site is the biggest thing. So
right. And it all ties into the whole thing of Facebook wanting to be your website.
Right.
They want your page, your profile to be your website and not have a separate website. So that's where all these, and we've talked about this, right? That's where they're going with all of this stuff. And that's where they've always been going with all of this, is to make you stay on Facebook and not have a reason to leave.
Yeah.
So.
And I agree with you. I think that's the direction that they're definitely trying to head. I think a lot of people are starting to pick up on that. And here's the thing: if it does happen, I mean, how do you combat that? Really simple. You need to develop. One, I think you need to develop really good content. Like, you have to have a good story. Like, why should somebody go follow you on Facebook or check out your blog or that sort of stuff? And I think the other thing that's going to be really important about that is using all of these tools in conjunction with one another. Jenny made a great point here a second ago. There's so many great tools that brands, marketers, that people don't use to their potential. And I mean, that's absolutely true. There's not enough time. But I think the key thing is figure out how those, particular tools can, tie into things. For example, like Blab is a great example. People are using it, you can use it for blogging, podcasting, just hosting like a normal video show. I mean, there's just tons of ways you can use it. In addition, you can make it like you can supplement your existing content for other things. So not just saying, well, hey, I've got a blog post, make your blog post even better by adding some sort of media element to it, whether it's a video or in this case, whether it's, a discussion of something.
Let me ask Jose. Jose, so you work for Lowe's?
Yes.
And you do recruiting for them, right?
Yes, I do. So
Lowe's is one of the, I would have to say that's one of the brands that does a great job on social media. Even Vine,
Yeah.
they're one of the ones that I know when Vine first kind of came out, and well, at least when brands first started to see any type of value with Vine, Lowe's was one of the ones that was on that. So
Right.
they're on top of things. Are you what are you seeing with maybe how your company's using some of this newer stuff that's coming out, or if they are at all, or what's your take on what, say, Lowe's does right now with all this stuff?
Right now, I think that we're kind of in a holding pattern. We're not really sure how to incorporate all these new features and leverage them correctly. So, I mean, we have a team working on following this stuff and really trying to get something started with it. But for right now, we're just kind of holding off to see if it's going to fit into what we want to do on our Facebook page, for example. Because, I mean, it's changing quick. I mean, all social media platforms are changing, and Facebook just this year seems to be changing much faster than some of the other platforms.
I don't keep up with all of Lowe's stuff. I see here and there when they're mentioned.
Yeah.
Not to put you on the spot, I don't mean to, but what platforms do you see them use a lot of as far as for the branding and marketing side of things? Look, they're not on Blab, obviously. I mean,
no,
brands aren't. But are they using Snapchat? Are they using Instagram? Or what are they using? We have
Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Vine, of course. We do have a Snapchat. We're not very active on it yet. I think they're trying to leverage that more for the career side of Lowe's, just because of the younger crowd that's on there, being the digital generation. So but Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram are our biggest.
Yeah.
We're on Pinterest and everything like those other ones, but I think those three are the big ones that we focus on.
Pinterest, that's interesting because because Lowe's has, I don't know if everybody really thinks about it, but like Lowe's and Home Depot, you think of, it's a guy place.
Right.
But I know my wife, she needs flowers. Where does she go?
Right. And we
she goes to Lowe's,
That's
why we need garden stuff. I mean, it has a huge female clientele
devoted to women.
So Pinterest makes sense. Yeah. That's interesting.
Yeah. I mean, I think that, Jose, by the way, I'd love to chat with you offline. I mean, just to kind of,
no problem.
What all you do. So, you guys that's the tough part with all the tools. There's so many tools out there, but at the same time, there's, you really have to, I would say, if you're going to talk about it from a brand perspective, you really, probably, you don't have to focus on getting it right. I would say that's the key thing. I think getting a lot of major companies to understand is that, there's things that are going to have to be tested, a lot, and to kind of find what's going to work. I mean, for for instance, for using Vine or using Instagram video or any of those kinds of things. I mean, there's so many different ways you can use them, and what might be a great idea because it might fit within your brand might not resonate with the customer, and so there's a lot of things that come out that, you kind of have to just throw things on the wall, see what does it do? How can we possibly use it? Does it even work that way? And then once you figure some of that stuff out, kind of work through, like some of the logistics, and really like make it your own. So absolutely, absolutely, Patricia. Test, learn, wash, rinse, repeat. Yes.
Yeah.
Do you, Jose, because you're on the recruiting side, so you mentioned, did you say Snapchat you use for recruiting?
Yes, I do.
How do you guys typically do that? Like, because I know you have like an audience that's potentially there that you want to reach, but how, like, what do you typically see happen with the Snapchat?
So with Snapchat, our main goal right now is because we're using it as individual recruiters rather than as Lowe's careers representing. So what we do is a lot of time when we're visiting universities or we're attending any kind of career fair, job fairs, we'll encourage people to add us on Snapchat us any questions they have during their application process, just as another outlet for them to stay in contact with us and stay updated. And we'll do the same thing in return. We'll send a Snapchat to them saying, talking about a future interview and to make, get in contact with us. Just to, we haven't really leveraged it for our Lowe's career brand yet.
Right.
But as individual recruiters, that's kind of how we're using it. And it's working. It makes sense, especially with users all mostly being under 25. That's a good audience for especially our store level positions.
Yeah, definitely. I find that Snapchat's been coming up a lot in conversations. That's why I'm asking. I'm curious about it because the brand thing. I kind of have an idea, but like for the company I manage the brand for, I wouldn't use it yet, even though we do have folks that use it. Mm-hmm. I mean, I wouldn't use it other than for more of a personal connection to the company, the whole humanizing it, humanizing the brand, that sort of thing, behind the scenes, right? Mm-hmm. But I don't know. It's just, for me, Snapchat is like super personal. It's, at this point, it's probably the most personal platform that I have, because it's kind of not difficult, but it's you have to work a little harder to connect to people there too.
Yeah.
So if you connect to someone there, like that's generally the people I'm connected to on there are, they're either my good friends or it's people that I've known online. And we're good friends that way, even though we never met in person. But they use Snapchat, right. And then their stuff is fun and good too. What they're doing, their content is good, and it's interesting. But for me right now, honestly, on Snapchat, the thing I like the most is the stories, the actual, like the city stories or the event stories. Mm-hmm. Every now and again, I might click on a Mashable story or ad or whatever. They actually, some of them do a really good job and make it fun. But in general, like all these Republican debates and Democratic debates, they've had the little stories on Snapchat centered around the political debates, and those have been really cool to see behind the scenes. It sounds like you probably have seen some of those too. I enjoy it.
Way brands are going to be able to leverage Snapchat, honestly, is through the stories. What I'm doing is it's great for targeting certain individuals, but as far as having a wide reach, the stories is how they're going to do that.
Absolutely.
Very cool. So we're going to move on to the last topic here we have for the day, by the way, and then we've got a couple of tools to mention to everybody. So
actually, this is up Jose's alley here.
Yes, LinkedIn. I don't know if anybody read the news this morning. Big announcement. They had 400 million subscribers. So they had a tremendous growth. And that's like really awesome. I mean, from a business perspective, I'm putting that link in there for everybody to look at. The number doesn't surprise me. I think the part that surprises me the most, is that out of that, it's like, I think it works out to be like 25% actually like check. What is it? I think it's 25% actually check LinkedIn on a monthly basis. It's actually really low.
Yeah.
That wasn't in the article, but I've read that somewhere actually today. I'm sure, Jose, you all use LinkedIn for a lot of recruiting. I mean, what are your thoughts on that?
I mean, I think it's great that the database has grown so big. But like you said, I know I've heard that same kind of statistic that it's low check rates. Not very many people check it often enough. And I think it's grown so big just because how much encouragement is coming from universities and other LinkedIn themselves on getting people just to sign up for LinkedIn. I've gone to career fairs at universities where they have a LinkedIn booth set up for students to sit there and take their picture and get to post on their profile, which is great and all, but an undeveloped profile or not maintaining your profile is useless. You might as well have stayed off LinkedIn, from my perspective.
Yeah. Absolutely. No, I completely agree with you on that. I mean, I think, it's funny. It's actually really funny. It goes back to this whole thing we're talking about tools earlier, and there's so many out there that people aren't using. Like LinkedIn, I mean, I love the idea of having a booth there, but here's the thing, we have smartphones and there's a nice square feature on there, for instance. So you want to take a great photo, get somebody to take a photo for you or take your own selfie. There's so many options available that I think a lot of people overlook. People forget oh, hey, this phone can take, it can take pictures and you can use that on your LinkedIn profile. I mean, it's pretty crazy to see kind of what they're, how things are working.
Yeah.
So
it's funny you brought that up. So I'm not trying to toot my own horn or whatever, but this is applicable. The other, about a week or so ago, the LinkedIn has been going around the country with this truck taking people's profile headshots. I'm in the Phoenix area. They stopped at ASU, which was smart, or the ASU area in Tempe, Arizona. ASU's, I think, still the biggest school, or if it's not the biggest school in the country, it's one of the top 5, I'm sure, still. They stopped and did that. And then last week, they did an event here, probably about 100 students, current students, and young alumni that showed up. But for the room, I mean, it looks like that's about what they were expecting. There's some pictures on that link, and a couple of the people from LinkedIn that were there from LinkedIn corporate jumped on Periscope with me, and they had a little setup. It was there was about 5 or 6 companies, local companies, or at least companies with local offices here in Phoenix. They did speed recruiting. So they had Groupon and one of the hospital systems here, and Boston Scientific, the electric company here also was there recruiting. They had the different stations set up for the headshots, like you mentioned. So free profile photos. And then they had the whole side of the room with about 6 or 7 tables where developers were sitting from LinkedIn that traveled. There was about 30 people that came from LinkedIn on this trip, and the developers were sitting at the tables helping kids. I'm saying kids, it's 20s at their oldest, optimize their profiles and kind of giving them advice on what to do. And honestly, I could tell you, the job I have now, I got totally off of LinkedIn. I found it on LinkedIn. I keep my profile optimized. I think it's important, and I don't know that every candidate or college student or fresh graduate necessarily realizes how important it is, how much it factors in, I think. And you can talk to this a little bit more, Jose, too. I mean, you definitely looked at LinkedIn profiles of people, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
So, I mean, resumes are big, but at first glance, you're probably going on trying to find them online somehow, and LinkedIn's going to come up at the top if they have a profile there.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think every resume I get, first thing I do is put it into Google or go straight to LinkedIn, log in, and do a string search for them.
Right.
So.
And their LinkedIn, I mean, not that you look at their LinkedIn necessarily for, if their LinkedIn profile isn't optimized, they're not a good fit for the job, but it can tell if it's really good, that's going to help them, I would think.
Absolutely. I mean, it's just one of those, even if you're not a big fan of LinkedIn, it's just something as a candidate you have to have. You really do. Absolutely.
Agree. But as far as the 400 million users, to be honest, Christian, when you sent over that link, and I'd heard about that, I don't know, that's great and all, right? But what does it really mean? I mean, I'm not interacting with 400 million people. I have whatever 500 plus connections, but I don't interact with them, all of them. There's very few I interact with them, and they don't see all my stuff because I get 80 views on a LinkedIn publisher post now, as opposed to thousands before they messed with it.
Yeah.
How many people do I actually connect with? Not that many, not very many. So if you're spending time on LinkedIn, I think it can be valuable. And it's a good initial place to connect with people aside from like Twitter. Professionally, I always try to connect with people on LinkedIn and see what's going on, check out their profile. So it's powerful, but on the same token, I get a lot of spam accounts that try to add me as a connection, and I'm like, I don't even know this person, or it looks weird, or I'm just not doing it. So that's another thing, is how many of the 400 million are real profiles too.
Yeah.
And I've actually started to get a lot of that happening with, I think because of just social in general.
Yeah.
Like I get so many requests nowadays from people like wanting to add me, and I'm like, okay, like who is this person? It's like, oh, hey, they work in, digital marketing. And I'm like, okay, I don't know that person. I don't know what they do. They seem to have some blanket statement. No, we're not going to connect with them.
Right.
Yeah.
So
please connect with me on LinkedIn.
Yeah, it's like if there, occasionally there are people that'll come across and I'm like, oh, good, that's somebody I want to connect with. But then there's occasionally a lot of people lately have just come up as like, oh, who is that person? Like they, I don't know that person. So
yeah, I think it's still early to see if that really has much of an impact, or like you said, means anything.
Yeah.
Every platform's for the most part is expected to grow. So
absolutely. So Jose, we've really enjoyed having you on the show today. I mean, it's been great getting you to join. I think you've been on a couple of past episodes as well.
Yes.
So, hopefully you will keep coming back to watch us and,
yeah, absolutely.
Because it means a lot to us, to one, we want to get the following up, but two, it's great to be able to talk with people who are passionate, about what they do. So.
And never mind the way, Jose. Don't.
No.
Do what? What was that?
It's in Halloween, in honor of Halloween.
Is that Scooby-Doo Fred?
Yeah, that's what Christian. You said that too when I first put it on. I didn't even think about that.
At first, I was like, "Oh, Scooby-Doo," but then you're like, "Oh, like then you showed me the golf socks, I think," and I'm like, "Okay, yeah, I could see."
Yeah,
it.
I'm dressed like a golfer. I didn't have the wig on today. Okay. Full disclosure, this wig is sitting on my desk usually all the time. It's from we did a Black Friday video last year, and I dressed up as like an Anchorman type reporter thing, and this was part of it.
Yeah, it's making sense now.
Oh yeah, it's all coming together. Totally makes sense.
That's pretty funny. So
Thanks
with
for coming
that,
on today.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for letting me get on.
oh, absolutely. So with that, I'm going to actually move into a couple of tools here, for everybody that's on the show here. So let me get the first tool we got up here.
Dasheroo,
yes. Very neat tool. This is actually, I think this is a very useful tool for pretty much most social media marketers. So tool one is called Dasheroo. I'm going to put the link in there for everybody. Okay, so this is a tool that it lets you pull your dashboards together. So if anybody who has ever used any sort of dashboard, whether it's Google Analytics, Facebook Insights, Twitter Analytics, etc., they integrate with a lot of different tools. Basically, it lets you pull everything into one dashboard so you can constantly get a bird's eye view on what's going on. I mean, you've got Twitter, you've got Facebook, Instagram. What else? You got Google AdWords. Apparently, they work with Constant Contact. LinkedIn also is on there. I mean, just tons and tons of Google Analytics, Facebook ads, Salesforce. You've got a lot of different options, but you can basically use this tool to pull all this information together into one screen. This way, for instance, how your followers are trending, how your fans are trending. What's your reach on Facebook? How many new fans? What's your engagement ratio? It's actually really cool. I mean, for people that do this normally. And by the way, it's free to start. So they have like a free plan for a certain number of insight points and a certain number of dashboards, and you can create what they call a mashup insight, which essentially is going to be pulling everything together. But and they only give you 30 days of window with that. But what's cool about it is they also give you like an iOS and an Android app too. So for example, how many of you have ever come across this? You've had your boss ask you for, insights about one of your social channels, and you're like, well, hey, I don't have that with me. Got to go back to my desk. yes, you can pull up some of them from your mobile device, but if you use this tool, you can go into the apps and pull up your dashboards, which is super handy. So that's the first tool I want to share with everybody. And Jose, I mean, that probably doesn't help you that much, but I know like from if for example, you need to work with like whoever your digital marketing manager is, you could always work with that person and have them, say, okay, hey, can you tell me how this particular type of post performed? If you're using a tool like that, they should be able to pull it up pretty much effortlessly.
Yeah, that's a great one. I have never heard of that one. That one's
it's relatively new.
Research.
This year, even the company, I think, I know I signed up for it like way back when, and kind of was getting the emails about, oh, we're releasing this and that and all that, and it seems like a really useful tool for sure.
I think it's really smart that they're doing this, that they're starting to like pull all these tools under an umbrella, because as you add more networks, what happens? Like our time just, we don't have the time to do things. And, I think analytics is one of the things that a lot of people overlook. They just, they're stuck in the content creation phase, or they're either doing this, they're either trying to create more content, they're posting more content, or they're just managing their business, and they're not actually doing anything to really look at it and say, okay, what did I post? How did it do? How's my follower growth? Is it actually working? Or my efforts working? I think I talked about this at was at a small Mid-Atlantic Small Biz Summit a couple of weeks ago. I was speaking on a panel there, and it's one of those things where, I told people, like at the end of the month, you look at your spreadsheet, for instance, you say, hey, how much money did my business make, right? You need to do the same thing with your analytics for your social channels. Sit down and say, okay, how many fans did I add? Did I actually grow? Did I not grow? Because if you're not growing and you continue doing the same thing, you're not going to go anywhere. So definitely think people need to spend some time on that.
And they're just the kind of the last thing though, Christian, is it's tough to, and you can probably speak to this more than I can, how many tools are out there? There's so many tools out there, including the native ones. Facebook native insights are great, but you have other accounts usually that you're trying to keep track of, and to go to each one every time is not really efficient.
No.
Maybe once a month you look at those, or once a week or something, but when you need one thing that pulls it all together, it's tough to sort through all the different platforms that are out there. And I would, like I said, I would agree with you. This Dasheroo it's right there with any of the ones that are either freemium or a free model, or you pay. It's not super expensive at all. No. It's very affordable if you want to do the pay version.
So I'm going to run through these other tools, and we are going to probably wrap up in about like 5 minutes, I think. So second tool, by the way, that I did want to chat about today was MachineGram. It's just more of a mention for people that are using Instagram. This is it's a tool to let you, again, it's they let you identify who you want to go follow. For instance, you can get into doing some scheduling, things like that. Again, it's more of a question of, hey, do I need this tool or not? Because it's, yet another tool to put into the, toolbox, and, just make sure you pick the right tool for the job, because there's so many out there. This is a couple people that alerted me to this one. So that's MachineGram. I personally have not used it yet. They reached out to me to check it out. Instagram is always a little fickle tool to use because they make it very challenging. A lot of times you have people thinking, hey, I want to use all these tools. I want a tool to be able to do this and this and this for Instagram. And it's like, well, it's not built like that. Like, it's the platform wants you to use mobile. They give you some features on the desktop. Most things though are unlimited. So just be careful with the tools they make available. The third tool actually that I want to talk about is it's an app. It's called Streaks. And I don't know if you probably run into this, Vincent, Jose, you probably run into this as well. Like, how many times have we sat down and said, well, hey, you know what? Today I'm going to sit down and write a blog post. And what happens? Our day gets really busy. It doesn't happen, right? It doesn't happen.
Don't do it.
Nope. Right. And you get to the end of the day, what happens? People get discouraged. They get to the end of the day and they're like, well, hey, I didn't get anything done. And I think like the first thing you need to do is look at, when you start your day, put your priority list together. What are the things I want to get done? And then out of this list, what are the things I absolutely need to get done, and put all the other stuff at the bottom. So what this tool does is it's an app, costs a couple of dollars, but I've personally been using it, and like I've been putting things in there like, hey, I want to write 500 words, X amount of times a week. For instance, I could say every Monday through Friday, I want to write 500 words a day. I want to work out, for, I don't know, say it's like 30 minutes, 3 times, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So what you can do is you put these tasks inside this tool called Streaks, and it basically, it actually is cool because it's not annoying. It doesn't like pop up and say, hey, did you do this today? It gives you a notification towards the end of the day and says, hey, how are you doing with these tasks based on what you put in there? And the whole point is, it's like that whole written calendar. You can like mark all the X's you want, but it puts it on your mobile device. So if you've done it, you start a streak by tapping on the button, and then, it asks you each day, did you complete the task? And if you didn't, you break the streak. So, sounds like, sounds like, oh, hey, I can just get a calendar or something to do that. But I like the fact that it's mobile, and I think that it's very easy to use. What do you guys have any thoughts on that, or any other tools to recommend on that?
It looks really easy. I mean, I haven't downloaded it yet, but just looking at the screenshots, I mean, it looks really easy and kind of fun, and like it's something I would definitely try out. I'll pay the $4 for it and check it out. But I was just looking at it. I'm wondering if there's even a way. I mean, there is, I would assume, because you put in your own tasks, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
So I wonder, you could use that as a social media manager person, I could totally use that for, like you said, write this blog or tweet about this, post about that. I mean, even the small reminders, not scheduling like a buffer or Hootsuite, but some small reminders to be like, oh, you schedule it. Can you schedule in that too? Like the task?
No, you can't schedule. So basically the way it works, and the other thing is, I mentioned this at the beginning, you want to pick like the important task for the day, right? So what you do is you want to put what some of those big rock things are. Right. Like you think you could put up to 6 tasks in there, but put your task in. And then once your tasks are in, then you can go in and, and those are like the items that you set the streaks for, the things you need to build the momentum on.
Gotcha.
Like if it's, for instance, hey, if I'm not good at blogging and I want to write, 500 words or 200 words or whatever, how many words a day, put that in there, start your streak. Hey, I want to, I want to get better at Twitter, for instance. If I'm not posting on Twitter, like, hey, tweet 5 times a day, for instance, or follow X amount of people. Start some different streaks in there that that are going to help you.
So you don't schedule a task,
right,
for it to pop up as a notification or something. It just does it automatically.
Correct. It does it based on, like, for instance, like mine says, hey, write 500 words a day. If I have not checked that off, it pops up a notification and asks me, did you complete this? Or just to give me a heads. So I think it's super cool, super worth it. I mean, if you want to try it out, I'd love to discuss more about it with you. So
yeah, that's cool.
Very cool. So those are some tools. And then the last tool I actually had on here, it's actually more of an announcement, I guess, is that I don't know, for anybody that builds landing pages, I use Leadpages for building, like, if I'm doing a webinar, I'm doing, if I want to give away an ebook or things like that, some quick, powerful landing pages. They are increasing their pricing starting, I think it's tomorrow. So it's going up by like 20%. I don't know if anybody has, if you guys use Leadpages. I personally use it. I like it. I don't use it for everything, but, it works really well for, say, a Facebook page, setting up like, opt-ins on a Facebook landing page tab, building campaigns that you can put into a website, things like that. So just wanted to kind of mention that to everybody. It's I need to actually, that's I need something like that, right? I've heard a lot about Leadpages. I haven't implemented them yet, but that's, yeah. And one of the features, so like, everybody thinks like, oh, landing pages. Well, it's not just landing pages actually. So the other feature that I use it a lot actually is it's their lead boxes feature. And you probably have seen this if you're on a website. If I'm reading somebody's article and, instead of having just a big box that says, hey, opt in here, you can have opt-ins tied to certain initiatives. So somebody clicks one of your links, you can make it pop up an opt-in box. Somebody can opt in and then you can deliver, essentially whatever it is you want to deliver, whether it's a PDF for opting in, a file, any of that kind of stuff. Like, for instance, Vincent, this would be a great tool, I think, for for your industry. if you all have content and you want to get somebody to download a form and you want to make sure you're building your email list at the same time with the right people, getting the right prospects on that list, you would want to have a lead box probably in some of the content. Somebody clicks it, they opt in. And at that point, you can send them, for instance, maybe it's a file they need for the business, or there's something for you, Jose. Maybe it's, an opt-in that you run tied to something that y'all do for recruiting. Like, maybe it's heck, you could even, if you guys do any blogging on that, maybe put together some sort of checklist or whatever. And
that's what my mind went to, is for blogging purposes.
Yeah, lots. It's a really great feature. And it actually, you can use that in conjunction with a Facebook page. You build a landing page tab and you can put the lead box in there as well.
I'm definitely going to look into that one.
Yeah. And that, I think it expires at midnight tonight. Just check out that link and that'll give you all the details you need. But I've been using the tool. I mean, I can test, I can give you my own testimonial. I've been using their tool for, 3 years now, maybe 4 years. It's been a while. And, and I really like it. I mean, I use it I really have gotten into the lead box feature, but it's very powerful.
Yeah.
So
cool.
Awesome. So with that, guys, I'm going to start to wrap up today's show. If you guys want to join, if you want to subscribe to next week's show, we've got next week's social chatter show set up. Here's the link there for everybody that's watching. You can go and subscribe to it. We don't know what we're going to actually talk about yet. Because
Not yet. We'll see what happens in the next week.
I mean, will it be Facebook? Because I think Facebook's got a streak going where they've talked about 5 things, or I think every week is something new with Facebook lately. So who knows? But with that, by the way, Jenny, thank you so much for joining. Jose, thank you for joining.
No problem.
Absolutely blast to have you as a co-host. I mean, I love doing these shows. Good luck this weekend with Halloween, by the way. I guess John Daly didn't join us. But who else we got? Patricia, thank you so much for joining as well. It's been a pleasure. And I want to wish everybody a happy Halloween, happy and safe Halloween this weekend. And don't forget, what do we got? Daylight savings time too, I think, right?
Yeah.
So don't forget.
Except for me, I'm in Arizona. We don't touch our clocks.
So awesome, guys. I will see y'all later. Have a fabulous weekend. Thank you.
No problem. Bye, y'all.
Bye, guys. Thanks, Jose.